So we're going to be taking a look at the 45-45 right triangle, as well as the 30-60 right triangle. And we are going to be using the idea of the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Well, you probably are aware of this through your work in mathematics. But if I have an isosceles right triangle, let's call this side length 1. That means that my other side length is also 1 because an isosceles triangle has 2 equal legs. And it also has 2 equal, actually that's not entirely true. It has 2 equal sides, not necessarily legs. And it also has 2 equal angles. Well, using the Pythagorean theorem, we have 1 squared plus 1 squared is equal to c squared to find the hypotenuse. So I get 2 is equal to c squared. So the c is equal to the square root of 2. And as luck would have it, if I had let's apply a scale factor of 3, 3, using the same logic, we have 9 squared plus 9 squared, which is, it's 9 plus 9, which is 18, because 3 squared is 9. It's equal to c squared, square root. Break this apart, so we have the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. We get 3 root 2 is equal to c. Oh, it's just this number times the square root of 2. So this theorem says for any isosceles right triangle, we are going to have a side length of a, and this leg will be a, and this will be a times the square root of 2. Oh my God, the 6th graders are incredibly loud. I'm going to pause it and shut the door. All right, I'm back. Still loud, but at least the door's shut. All right, so for a 30-60 right triangle, well, the origin of this is actually a equilateral triangle. In an equilateral triangle, we have 3 sides that are all equal, which means we have 3 equal angles, and the triangle has 360 degrees in its internal angles for the sum of its internal angles. So 180 divided by 3 is 60 degrees. So each one of these angles is 60 degrees. Now, if I were to drop an altitude, well, that would break this in half. So that means this side length is half of this side length. So let's say we start out with a side length of 2, side length of 2. That means this is 1 and 1. Well, what is the height of the triangle? Well, using the Pythagorean theorem, we can safely say that 1 squared plus b squared is equal to 2 squared. So 1 squared is 1 plus b squared is equal to 4. Subtract 1 from both sides, and I get b squared is equal to 3 square root. So the height of this triangle is simply the square root of 3. Well, let's see what happens if I pick another side length for my equilateral triangle. So let's say I pick a side length of 6. If I drop an altitude, that makes this 3, 3. And let's go through the same calculations. So we have 3 squared plus, b squared is equal to 6 squared. So 3 squared is 9 plus b squared is equal to 36. Subtract 9 from both sides. So I get b squared is equal to 27. Square root. So we have the square root of 9 times the square root of 3. A square root of 9 is 3. I think I see a pattern. So if I take this triangle and obviously break it in half, we now have a 30-degree angle at a 60-degree angle. I should have said this earlier, with my 90-degree angle here. So if I just look at my 30, 60 right triangle, if this side length is a, that's going to give me a hypotenuse that is twice and an altitude of a times the square root of 3. And now I have the hiccups. It's nothing worse than someone hiccuping in your ear.